How you doing, John? Is the video okay? And the sound? It's cold here. Brr. Hey, Graham, how you doing? Great, thank you very much. Hi, Dom. Good morning, everyone. Okie doke. To kick things off, I know a lot of you are, a lot of you, all three of you. There's more than that. Everyone's getting ready for the Christmas holidays, which is Christmas is tomorrow. Some of you celebrate other holidays during this period, perhaps uh, Hanukkah or some other holiday anyway. So, Merry whatever you have. Jonathan, how you doing? Um, we had there's a phenomena called a bomb cyclone. And we had this weather yesterday that was just unbelievable. And then the temperature this morning was 8 degrees Fahrenheit, something below 0 Celsius. I'm not sure what it is, but we went from rain, which we really wanted rather than snow, and got rain. So it rained all day and it was nice and warm. In fact, it was a really nice day. And except for rain. So we didn't have ice and snow. The temperature went from I think around 60 degrees down to 8 degrees. We had the biggest drop in temperature. That's apparently what happens in what they call a bomb cyclone. And now there's this river of ice along the roads. It's cold. So I'm all in my cold weather gear. So anyway, I hope everyone else is having a great holiday and doing something fun. Um, Hi JJ. Hey Brian, good to see you. Jonathan. Hey Watch Monkey, how you doing? You made it. You did. Anyway, I was sort of thinking about, well, what is it that is really has is the attraction to mechanical watches? And I think there are a number of different things, but I think perhaps at the essence of it is the whole way in which a watch mechanism works. Nigel, how you doing? Um, oh, Michigan, JJ, bless you boys. It's really cold up there. Um, but anyway, going back to what is it about watches that make them what they are? They're very, really very interesting, very special kinds of devices. And what keeps us interested. And so I was looking at my watch and since Breguet's time, there's certain things that haven't changed. And to me, one of the most interesting things is the expansion of the mainspring leading to the whole thing, the whole watch working, how this thing works. This is a simple one with uh, time only, hours, minutes with a an eccentric second hand over here, and how all of this sort of like an orchestra and the mainspring is the power behind it. And some years ago, a friend of mine, former judge for the Grand Prix, asked me. He said, "Well, do you know what the escapement does?" And I said, "Yeah, it releases the tension on the mainspring, just a little thing at a time, as the pallet fork dances back and forth. That the one end is dancing back and forth, releasing, escaping the tension from the mainspring, and at the same time having its oscillations, if you can call it that. Well, it's sort of its wigwag, controlled by the oscillation of the hairspring. So the tail end of the is sort of like this. On this is the front end, and then the tail end of the pallet fork is getting whacked one way and then whacked the other way by the hairspring, and then at the other end, the pressure from the mainspring is has this the pallet fork is releasing these teeth on the escapement, and all of that goes up through the uh, uh, gear train. It just how that whole thing works is just like whoa, and then some really interesting watchmakers make it do all of these other kinds of things, or they have found ways to make something happen in a way that it doesn't happen before. Now, at least that for me is the fundamental fascination of it. Um, I don't know. I that's because I was trying to figure that out. What is it? What is it that keeps me super interested in these your blasted bank emptying devices? Hi, Jose. Tuna, good to see you. I love mechanical things. Yeah, and mechanical things in general too. There's somebody in one description I referred to these as micro, I guess, micro technology or micro mechanics or something like that. And that's a good enough name for it, as opposed to going out and working on your car or something like that. That's great big mechanics. They're both complicated, and I think people who have interest in one have interest in the other. Uh, I like cars, but I'm not into doing mechanical work on them. Uh, but the thing that has the kind of complications that mechanics have, I've always done with software programming. So there are a lot of these different kinds of things that people like that are interesting, and they have an ongoing interest to them. Hey, John, the advance in technology has allowed quality balance wheels, better balance, less affected magnetic field, better alloys, not silicon. There you go. Hi, Lesser Time. Yeah, Merry Christmas and good start to 2023. Same to you. Uh, Machines have a soul. Oh, the soul of a new machine. I don't know if any of you read it, but years ago, one of my favorite books was called The Soul of a New Machine. And it was how one of the early developments of one of the microprocessors. And that's a fascinating story. If you ever have a chance, The Soul of a New Machine is really fantastic. And here are these guys. It was sort of interesting after going through this process to create this machine where they were, dealing in microseconds and even nanoseconds. The guy said, after this project, he says, I don't want any timing that's shorter than a season. I'm looking at my watch. Yeah, have something with seasons on it. Mechanics and metallurgy. The thing about metallurgy to me, it it it's just fascinating. I mean, the that's another reason I like transitional metals over metalloids. the metallurgy is so much more interesting. At least it is to me. I know that there's, God, I was up to my neck in silicon operated devices for years, and there's something about them that is sort of like, don't touch me. You know, you don't have to do anything. Just leave us alone. On the other hand, with transitional metals, they're more malleable, and that's why a Strauss-Bond hairspring or a Rolex hairspring using alloys of niobium and, on the one hand, uh, titanium on the H. Moser and chromium on the Rolex. How they've done that is, really, really amazing. And this is why I suppose I look at Patek Philippe's change over to silicon. The same with everything that Swatch has. Is that, come on, guys, it's, yeah, it's more expensive, but so are your blasted watches. These aren't cheap. You pay. I don't want to pay, $50,000 for a watch that's got some silicon hairspring that can't be adjusted. It's a metalloid in the same grouping as arsenic. So anyway, I don't want to be grumpy. It's the season to be jolly. Oh, what's going on here? Hi, Fresh Mind. Can you tell us more about your software engineering career? No, it'd take all day. Yeah, I don't know. I spent about, God, 10 years or so with one of the most interesting groups of programmers I spent time with was at General Dynamics in San Diego, and there was a language called Forth. I didn't work at General Dynamics. I was teaching at the university, San Diego State University, and I'd go there and I'd learn how to do that. And then when the early laser printers came out, they worked on a language called PostScript. I think it was called PostScript. And PostScript and Forth were both postfix. They both used postfix notation. So you did all your programming backwards. And sort of it was in that mindset. And then I worked with when I was at Cambridge as a visiting scholar, and this guy was working on a chi-square and on a BBC computer, which at the time was, I don't know, about 5K or whatever they had back then. I wrote a program on a chi-square. It was basically I was very much early on, very much going into practical programming. And again, this is from an academic point of view, solving different kinds of problems, primarily in my case, in research, data analysis. Later on, though, what we're doing here right now, back, I think it was, God, it must have been, it's almost 22 years ago. Adobe came out and asked me to join this beta group that we were trying to figure out a system for video, for streaming video. And they developed a language for it called ActionScript. And so I did a lot of programming with ActionScript and different kinds of things. So my programming background is very, very strange at the best. My favorite kind of programming is sort of direct internet programming. I know that's not, I don't know what, but I like that. There's a language called Haskell, which is a functional programming language based on Lambda calculus. And I really like Lambda calculus. And how come you guys are all snoring? I told you not to ask me about that. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about watches. Hi, Velvia, man. Is it the weather for bears? You bet. No, the bears are taking a nap now. They're all in hibernation. This is why, I tell you, a lot of times at night I don't want to go out. I mean, my wife says take the trash out. So let me wait until the sun comes up so I can check out whether or not there are any bears. Hi, Owen. How you doing? You like my hat, huh? Yeah, my hat. I got this hat a number of years ago in Finland, and boy, the Finns know how to dress for cold weather. So I put on my my Finnish hat. Hi, dares. This are you going to defend Moscow from the fascist hordes? That was like 80 years ago. Now I think they become the fascist hordes trying to pick on they picked on the wrong kid. I'll put it that way. Hey, Billy Lau, how you doing? How are things in Hong Kong? Thomas, good morning, everyone. Okay, hey, least time, how you doing? Oh no, it can't be frying pan time. Oh, it's your frying pan time. Okay, take care, least time. All right, so let's go back and let's talk about watches. I told you not to ask me about my software career. Um, oh, facial hair, beards. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about beards. No, Velvia, man. Yeah, I did trim it some. So anyway, I got now I have something up here as opposed to sort of like space available. All right, so let's look at the fun part of when we look at a watch. I mean, what is it about a watch? And we keep going out and getting more and more. Now, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much. It's almost infinite what you can do, it seems. Um, but I really like the keeping, looking at the essence of timekeeping. In other words, pretty much looking at the same kind of mechanics with, as Dom pointed out, a totally different metallurgy, different metals and treatment of metals than Abraham Breguet had available to him. And the technologies are not, I mean, the logical conclusion for technologies and timekeeping is, an atomic clock or a smartwatch, not a mechanical watch. Mechanical watches have they have something that more available to us as people. I used computers for years, and while I understood the concept of it, my God, trying to work with that micro technology, all of the work was done through a special kind of, I think, electron microscope, and they're moving molecules around and setting up logic gates and so forth. Metals and alloys properties can be tailored to exactly what you're looking for the end result, heat treatment, cyclonic treatment, so on. Yeah, that and to me that's fine. I mean, here you're using, and I prefer transitional metals, but there probably something out of that category that would count too. Um, so many different, yeah, John, yeah, that's the whole point. Yeah, there's so many different variations. Like you take, for example, the detent escapement or George Daniels' coaxial escapement, a lot of different kinds of things like that. It's funny, the old simple Swiss, what do they call it? I guess it's a Swiss fork or, the really simple one that goes, here you have they have one up here that's on a stop, and then the thing goes like that, and this thing goes like that. What is that called? I just That's just sort of the basic Swiss escapement where they just have that the pallet fork rocking back and forth and the escape wheel, you know, letting it go. To me, that's one that they keep going back to. The tent escapements, I'd really love to have a watch with the tent escapement, like the one that Daryl Pratt made for Urban Jurgensen. But I was told that one works a lot better on a clock, steady on a wall. So I know they had problems with that, but still, it's really interesting. Um, Do you have any watch strap retailer recommends? Sure. Uh, if you don't mind spending a lot of money, I can recommend two. Uh, in fact, this one has one by them. One, there are two watch band companies in Paris. One's called ABP Concepts Paris, and the other one is called Jean Rousseau. The Jean Rousseau are those are the ones I like are fairly expensive. The ones by ABP Concepts, they're expensive too, except I took advantage of what was it? Some kind of one of these dumb sales. Um, oh, what was it called? It's called Black Friday sale. Oh, they had a Black Friday sale, and they had exactly the gator strap that I wanted, and so I got it for you know probably what you'd pay for a decent leather strap, but there are all kinds of different strap vendors. You know what? It's they have Jean Rousseau has a shop in New York. I can go to them if I want, but I've dealt with them online all the time. I wanted to have a special one made for my special strap made for my FP Journe Konometsu Vein, and they tailored it exactly. In fact, I sent them one of my straps from one of my FP Journe so they could make it exactly like it, and they did. So it depends. There's a guy up in Canada, and they have a thing called combat straps. Sort of weird name. Aaron, his name is Aaron, and he makes for a lot less. Has some great custom straps that he can make for you. Is coaxial escapement essentially the best escapement, and why either way? Is the coaxial escapement. Um, what the coaxial escapement does is that the coaxial, you have two parts of the escapement on a single axle, okay? And I think I had done a video on it some time ago, and it was some time ago though. And the way it works is to, I think, minimize contact with any two parts. Now, if you take a typical Swiss escapement, you've got the old pallet fork going back and forth, and on the teeth of the escape wheel. Okay, they're going bap bap bap, and that's pretty much it. There's the way the Daniels escapement works, a coaxial escapement. You've got things stacked on a single axle, and you have on your escape wheel, you have two levels, and they're ticking away on it. Roger Smith sort of collapsed them on one axle, but one is sort of inside like this, and then the other one is wider, and so one tick hits the inside and the other tick hits the outside. Now, according to Daniels, that's an improvement. Um, well, it's, so many people know so much more about that than I do. It's really funny. The the only company that really adopted them to any extent, beside Roger Smith, is Omega. And I still want to get one, but I want to get one. And then they started stuffing that stupid silicone hairsprings in there. I don't want one of those. So I don't know. Maybe I'll find an older one before they started doing that I can get. But whether they're the best or not, there's also too. If you look at detent escapement, as long as you're sort of like move at the speed of a sloth, I don't think sort of a watch. If you got a three-toed sloth for a pet and he needs a watch, I think a detent escapement would be okay with him. But I don't know. It's see that's what to me it's a wonderful question, because see that's to me is the essence and the most interesting part watch collection because you have people trying to figure out different ways to have the sort of the key element in the escapement and the pallet fork and then the hairspring and all of it sort of dancing together in this really incredible ballet, almost mechanical ballet. And to me, that's what's interesting about it. Hi, Hans. How you doing? Merry Christmas to you too. Uh, family just turned up. Better show my face. We'll catch up later. Many thanks. Have a great time with your family, Graham. Yeah. And remember, don't pull Uncle Willie's finger, whatever you do. Hi, Javi. I Oh boy. Okay. Hi, JJ. See, everyone's saying hello. Okay. All right. So, what are some other things about that we sort of look at and talk about? I think that one of the things that they'll start talking about and arguing about and having different discussions about. Some of these discussions are totally banal, but other ones are fascinating. Um, and I think the most banal ones are resale price, not resale value, but resale price. Will I get my money back if I sell it? I hope not. I hope if you buy a watch you hate for to resell it, I hope you lose your shirt. All right, that's a terrible thing to say, but there you have it. If you buy a watch you just love and the price goes up and you won't sell it, good for you. Hey, young Brando. Oh, how you doing, Eli? Uh, hi, Rel. Oh boy. Okay, so um, we're talking about what what is sort of the endless fascination of mechanical watches. Hi, Essence of Time. Got to run. Okay, have a great holiday. Still like Paddock's new Calatrava. You know, I had a Calatrava from a 1968 Calatrava. Whenever I wound that watch, it was like turning it was like winding sort of the case full of diamonds that just rolled around. It was a wonderful watch, kept perfect time, and yet it had a metal transitional metal hairspring, and it still works. I mean, 1968. I sold it to some guy. Thank God, he seemed like I had a background check before I sold it to him, and it found a good home. The new ones, why did they do that? The all kinds of good reasons if you're that have nothing to do with mechanical watches, but rather have to do with a way that you have a tough problem to solve. The tough problem is solved by companies like Rolex. Actually, I'm very not a fanboy exactly, but I like Rolex because they kept their parachrome hairspring over the blasted silicon siloxy ones that they developed with Swatch and Patek Philippe. I don't know what was going through their head. Patek Philippe does strange things at different times, and to me, this was one of the. To me, it was a that was it with Patek Philippe. However, I'm always on the lookout for a Patek Philippe before 2009, before they started stuffing silicon in there. See, so this is the kind of thing, and I know silicon works. My God, I've worked in silicon knee deep for most of my career, so I don't need to know about the advantages of silicon. I know what they are, but you can't even adjust a silicon hairspring. I mean, so where's the fun in that? But it works, and it works great. The heat's not affected by heat, snow, rain. It could be a mailman. It has so many different things that it resists. But, if you're worried about having an accurate timepiece, I'll go out and buy an Apple Watch and, not have to think about any of those things. So, I mean, look what is it, precision engineering at H. Moser did. They went out and they figured out how to put together a hairspring that was not affected by magnetic fields as much. Look who uses them, MB&F, Voutilanen, and probably every other top watchmaker that they don't like to say where they get their stuff. Um, you know, I have an Eterna Matic from 1948 working perfectly. Mechanicals are forever. I think quartz don't live so long. I don't know. Quartz is simply silicon and oxygen. They're not. I, you know, it's not that they're bad. I mean, it's sort of like, let's say you're a car fan. Okay, you like cars, and you like, um, oh, I don't know, Mercedes. You're a big Mercedes fan, and somebody comes along with another car, an electric car that's doesn't have it's not mechanical. It's mechanical, but not in the same way. They say, "Look at this. This is better for the environment and everything else." I would say, "You bet. I agree." But it's not what I'm interested in. Um, and it not nothing wrong with something, and it's certainly not anti-innovation. But if you're going to use silicon with innovation, again, the logical conclusion you go zooming up to the smartwatch. Why in the world did the Swiss give up on quartz watches? They still make a lot of quartz watches, by the way. But why suddenly here they had this quartz watches? They were doing great. They weren't affected by the magnetic fields. They did everything you wanted them to do. They didn't work on uh, the power of a mainspring. And until the Japanese came along and what's it called? A spring drive. They worked out a spring drive where you could have quartz and a mainspring. So I don't know. I have it's not a matter of yeah, you either like chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream. Either one, they're both good. And if you pick one over the other, and people are saying, well, no, look what we have. You can't do that with as far as anything with silicon in it, it's not that you can't do it. It's I'm not interested in it. And if I were interested in it, that'd be different, but I'm not. And I think that I still want to get there are a number of Patek Philippe's I would like to get that don't have silicon in it because they're wonderfully made watches. But I got a wonderfully made watches. I have them by ones at Larique now, uh, by H. Moser, by Parmigiani. All of these companies have really fantastic watches. And then when you go to the crazy high priced ones, they don't have quartz in them either. Most of them don't anyway. Yeah, Eli, I agree. Yeah, the ones before, the ones in the 89 to 2009, those are some great ones. The ones I like are the gondolas, which they canceled. It's like the most people who buy, quality wristwatches, all they know is that, hey, somebody says, wow, that's a cool watch you got. Um, and as a status symbol. And that's fine. If I were working on Wall Street or something, I'd get a Wall Street watch. I think I have some, but that's another story. And so the emphasis is not on what would be viewed as picky details like the materials that hairsprings are made of. So we may be as watch collectors, we may be fussy ourselves. So anyway. Uh, hey, Dominic, that's a quartz and electric cars are boring. Hey, Rancher, how you doing? Okie doke, Rancher, will do. Hey, Tuna, frying pan time. Okie doke. All right, guys. Oh, listen, this afternoon I'm going to look at another aspect of why we enjoy Watts collection, and 4 o'clock New York time. So if you're around then, drop on by. If not, have a great Christmas tomorrow, good Christmas Eve, good New Year's, good Hanukkah, good whatever you celebrate. Take care. Talk to you in a bit.